Hey, good morning and good evening from Michael. And where's my Texas Jake? He's right there. Hey, Jake. From Chicago. Uh, I wanted, because I've been talking about Philippine relationships versus others, you all have, if you've watched anything that I've posted, that, I did go international, and it's pretty much a global thing, where people are scamming and doing things like that. But the reason why, and I've also in past videos have said that the reason why I went to the Philippines because I had heard advertisements that it's better there. You're going to find a better mate. And I'm still confused on some of those sites or those meetups or whatever, because there's a lot of younger Filipinas that are going after older American men who are very good men, sincere men, and that would be with them, and even children of theirs from previous relationships, as long as they're not married. Um, if they can get them here, or I don't know how long that would take, getting them here is going to be like climbing Mount Everest. Sometimes it would seem. But unfortunately, the two women that I come across, I've had some very bad experiences. Both Karen and Adelina. Um, one wanting an annulment and for me to pay for it, although her husband would not help her with that, or she had the funds to do that. And it was just their mentality or their thinking that they were going to um, they were going to save their money for their homes or for their livelihoods or whatever, for their future, yet they wouldn't invest money in that, in their own annulment, but expect somebody from the outside to do that. The second of the two that I met, her attitude was, that her dream was to make a lot of money and then provide for her son, of course, and then to build houses and or houses in the Philippines. So her objective wasn't to be with somebody in the United States and to be there and to be with him, but it was to build her future back in the Philippines. So my question to a lot of the Filipino women that I have seen by watching either YouTubes or seeing some of these meet and greets that they have, these companies that arrange that, is that you're looking for an older man who probably has children and or has been divorced and is a little bit more settled, and sometimes the age gaps are quite different. They're up to 20, 30 years, difference. And men aren't looking to start families at that age. They're looking to live out their lives, enjoy it with somebody that's got a positive attitude, that gives them that feeling of youth. And they're not trying to build families at that age. Yet that seems to be on the tip of their, thinking. Their thoughts are saying, that they want to get an American because we're good guys. And we are. We're very good guys. There's a lot of good ones left. But we're not thinking that we want to start families at such an old age, especially if in the back of your thinking, you're thinking that you want to just build something in the Philippines, and then if you, were able to establish some, monies, that were larger than what you would have there, that you're just concentrating on how much better you'd be off in your own country, maybe when you become my age, you know. I've heard people on TikTok talking about it's a win-win. If the understanding is that you're younger than I am, you may or may not outlive me. Most likely, the man is going to not outlive the woman, but he's going to die before the end of her days. But that's not always the case. But if it were to be, a man doesn't want a woman that's going to be building, 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 only to take it all back home and then, you know, It just doesn't feel right to be with somebody that has that 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 attitude. I mean, you got to come here with your heart 100% into it, and you know, not be so quick to you know have a thinking of that. That you're going to eventually just wind up back home and be rich and sitting on your little throne there in the Philippines, just looking down at the rest, saying you've made it in life. Um, the guy wants to feel like he's really loved and he's thought of, and that he's important. And uh, my confusion though is that with all of these masses of women in the Philippines that are looking for a good man, all of you that are looking for a good man, a good-hearted man, an understanding man, a man that would listen and care for you. Expect that in return, of course. But they're out there, and then there's those ones that, the Karens in the Philippines that while they're talking to you, they have others that they're talking to and claiming them as king. In other words, I have many suitors, that. So I don't say that that's not okay as much as I say that you shouldn't be saying and sending emojis and little hearts and I love yous to somebody while you are sending them to others. That's not your Valentine. Isn't somebody that we're not in grade school where you give that to everybody in the room and then hope that one out of the many is going to, bite the hook, as it were. Because I see so many things. That was my scar. I had an explosive go off in my right hand when I was younger, and it did some damage to my lip and right in here too. Beside the point. Always impromptu. I don't rehearse nothing I talk to you about, but I just wanted to ask, this isn't a like and subscribe so much as it is just asking, maybe make a comment, tell me, why is this so much of this going on? And then how I'm not the bad guy either that's on here trying to bash the Filipino women. I'm sure there's a lot of good ones, but communication is key. A man needs to understand, like, what is your objective? What are you really trying to do? An older man, in most cases, isn't trying to start a family at his older age. So, I mean, if he was in his 30s, maybe, 40s, maybe he'd want, to start a family at that age. But when you start getting up into the 60s, 50s, late 50s, you're not really thinking about let's have kids, because you're too old to be chasing after children and doing all that. And even though the woman's going to do that, it's not just something that we are thinking about at that age. So I want to know, how do you feel about that? I mean, you're not only going to leave your country, but there could be guys here that are just not on board with having kids at such an older age. I personally, because I had my children very young, I had a vasectomy. It's reversible at a very young age because contraceptive, things. I don't sleep around, so I wouldn't be using those forms of birth control. So I had a vasectomy, a reversible vasectomy. But I don't know that I would want to reverse that at my age to be having children. So that doesn't make me as marketable as somebody that might want to do that at such an old age. But I'm very curious, why, there are men that are willing to take on a foreign bride, younger than himself. And, there's so many more women that are out there. I want to know why. Well, what am I saying? I want to know why, if you can answer in a question or, give a comment. Why are you thinking that it's okay, or that the women that are doing it are going to mess it up for the ones that aren't doing it? Why is it okay that these girls are with, many, 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 and then you don't tell somebody you care about them, love them, you want to be with them, and then you're saying it to the next one and to the next one. I understand Filipino women are very possessive and jealous. American men are too, sometimes. And when they find out that their person that they care about, excuse me, someone's at my door. The person that they care about is, all right, Jay. All right, bro. Take care of that. Why are so many, yeah. Okay. Why is it so many are doing that and then expecting us to just jump on board or be heard again? And I'm only on here telling the guys that are thinking about it that you have to be extremely careful about what you're doing. Maybe some of these agencies can promise more. I'm like a freelancer, I guess, in the way of, I didn't go through an agency to try to find this bride because it's going to cost enough, to just get there and to try to vacation and get to know somebody in a short period of time. And then, of course, if what's true from what I heard, they don't have the resources to get to you, so that's going to be your expense as well. Most likely the visas, the travel, things like that, So it just piles up. So to make that kind of investment, not that that's insurmountable, you want a return on your investment. It's called ROI, return on investment, so that you have this peach of a woman that is going to love you not just long time, but for the rest of your life and be with you. And then you're going to build together and be partners in life, and that there's no resentments, that are formed because you're not, this baby maker that's just going to be tied to her in that respect, First you have to, like if I loved a woman enough, I would reverse my vasectomy, but I had one because I didn't want to have children and then have somebody take them from me, and that would be a fear of mine, if you must know, and I'm sure anybody's that, if they were with somebody that was from another country, that they might have children and then want to just jump ship, and go back home, and if their attitude is just that they're trying to build, come here, make money, build, send back money, that's really where they're headed, and then some of them look at you like, what's wrong with that? I find it funny. I don't find it funny. I just find that it's like you have a lot of nerve to think that we're all just hoping that we can find more of that. Because that kind of love and affection and closeness is right here in our own country. So sitting around a table for, a day or a date that you might have with somebody that's somewhere else might be okay, but we're not just, going bar hopping here and, just picking up chicks and, and it's just this is thinking like marriage material. So I don't know how you're going to meet somebody that you're going to marry, going on some little tour or visit to the Philippines and then meet them for a week, 3 times maybe in that time, and then all of a sudden you're going to marry them. So, I'm a little confused about the process. Now, my brother did that and was successful with a Ukrainian woman that he met on a Christian site. He did go there. I think he only stayed 10 days. And after his return, within 6 months, I believe, 6 or 9 months, maybe at tops, she was here. It was an expensive, process, but not ridiculous and not something that most guys couldn't do. But it was they're married. She came with an objective and he had one, and they, from start to finish, they saw themselves to that point. And now she's successfully employed here in the United States, working for, I believe it's what's the name of that company? It's not a hard one. I just had a brain fart there. Amazon, yeah, making good money. But it's never, conversation is never brought up to where half of her income or a third of it is sent back home too. They're building their boats and ships and houses together, they too, for themselves and not for everybody back home. You see, so those are some of the American guys' fears. And if we're talking about, I don't want to be the what do they call them? Ogre, an ogre, like a monstrous, like I'm on here to just bash those folks over there. I'm not. I'm just saying that, you would be better off and we would be better off if you would just, what's the plan? What's the plan? And then to make that, and I guess each one of you is going to have an individual plan, but it seems like so many of you are standing in lines for this. So you have to have one primary objective. And if that's to get married, find a good husband here in the United States, somebody that would care about you, take care of you, be with you for the rest of your life, build with you. They want a partnership, a good line of communication. They don't want a lot of bullshit lies. And there's so much of that in the United States and other countries as well. Just too much bullshit's going on in the world, when it comes to lies and deceit. So if you really want to be the winner, winner, chicken dinner, and you want to get that guy, that good guy that really wants to love you and take care of you and understand you, he wants to know your heart, And if you show that to him and he shows that to you, you'll see it in so many different ways, But he doesn't want to get a woman that's going to be lamenting about going back home or wanting to build houses there, and it's better there. If you can sit down and say, well, why is it better? You have to have medical, what's my beard? This is hard to do. You as you get older, you're going to need to be around some of that. Even though you're healthy, you still need to know that you have access to medical care if it's needed. And it's a shame that it's, sometimes all that responsibility is put on one, and if they have a pretty daughter, they send her out there to say, okay, you go find the one that's going to help us pay for this, for our livelihoods and stuff like that. That's difficult. Not only on the person to put that kind of pressure on the Phiapina that feels that sense of responsibility, but then to put it on somebody else. And I don't think in a short visit you're going to get that close to your in-laws, to where you're going to feel that pull that Phiapina might feel, And sometimes here in the United States, our families are smaller and smaller, and our circle is smaller and smaller. So if you're around a lot of populated family people, and then you come here, it just might be you and your husband, so you're going to have to be on a different level of thinking and feelings and stuff like that. And that's something that builds over time, and not just in a week's visit or 2 weeks or a month, So just consider all of that. And again, I guess my question to the Filipinas is, why is it that, and I know you can't put all your eggs in one basket type of thing, or you feel like I should have many. Tell the guy that you're doing that you're talking to, so that when he gets that emoji or that little whatever, that he doesn't take that to heart, that this woman is just sending that out as bait, and whichever one she gets is what she gets. But don't make a guy feel like you're the only one. And if you want to feel like you're the only one, then you have to be the only one. You cannot be out there just thinking, well, I'm not gonna. If you spot one and you like it, go after that one. Don't go after the many, and then whichever one gets to it first is the one that gets it. I don't think. That's just my feelings on that. I know there's a lot of controversial videos here on this YouTube about that, but it can be done. Think about it. Ask yourself, what am I bringing to the table? How far am I from going from here to there, to the United States, to Canada, to Australia, to wherever you're going? How far are you from that? Let the guy know. What's it going to take? Do you have your medical? Do you have your passport? Are you ready and willing? If he knows that, and he knows you're closer to him than, and it's not as far off as it would seem, it's not insurmountable. It's not that you're married and separated and all that. If you're all those things, then you should just reconcile with your husband until that's rectified in your country. But if you're willing and able, or even if you have children, but you're not married, so there's the only tie to you, and the children are under 8 years old, I believe that's what it is. Because if they're over that, you cannot leave your country unless you have the husband's consent, and he's going to probably want some coin for that too. Or you can just leave them behind and realize that you may not see them as frequently or as often outside of, Zoom or some kind of messenger or whatever, and talk to your children that way. But if you're willing to make that sacrifice, and that's only, and you don't have to be married, I understand, you just have children by somebody that would want to see his kids on a regular, you can't remove them from your country. So if they're over 8, but if you have all that worked out, and I don't mean just, you think you got it worked out, but you do, you're closer to the finish line of getting an American, Canadian, Australian husband. But if you're just, this is just, like you're just run amok with that, or it's just up in the air and no one knows, and so you're just grasping, which one, anyone, I'll have this boyfriend, this boyfriend, all over. You're all over the place. He's going to find out, because if he's interested, he's looking at it. He's looking at the whole picture. That's what men do that are smart. They're going to try to look at, and they're going to look through all the cracks and crevices or whatever to see what's really happening here. But if you're really sure what you want, you find somebody, you feel like there's some potential there. It doesn't even have to be love. Love doesn't happen in 5 minutes. You might like somebody in 5 minutes, but love is built. And older men, they could love you too. They want the respect from the woman. Respect me enough to have your shit together, to know what you want, to know what it's going to take to get to it, and lay it out. Let the man see. What do we have here? What can we have here? You lay that out for a man, a good man, and he's gonna do what it takes to bring that together. You and him. Doesn't just, that's the rest of your life. We're always, fighting. Life is a fight to survive. But it's not, if it's going to be corrupt, if you're going to go about it in the way that my experience has been, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to let the guys know that there's a lot more of that out there than there is the other. Why? Because what are the odds? I could look at the back of a lottery sheet and it'll give you the odds of your winning that lottery. But we always think in our heads and in our hearts that it's going to happen one day. And that's foolish. That's foolish thinking. Sometimes it may. But in my case, and it's only been twice, and I'm not giving up on the Filipino woman altogether, but I'm like, there's a lot of, and it's here too, as you know, in the United States, it's 52 states of a lot of that going on, and I'm sure in other countries the same. My scarf is making my beard look awfully crooked, so I'm like, what's going on here? So anyway, please, to all of you that are hustling, I'm asking you to stop is like asking the rain to not fall, or the sun not to come up, or the moon. Yeah, I know there's a lot of, people are bad off in the world. But the advertisements that have gone on about your country is that it's a very religious country, that you have these deep-rooted convictions and feelings about love and marriage and family. And I don't want to keep running into those that are just bullshitting me for coin. It's not respectful to me, and it makes me feel like I'm not worthy. And I know I am. I'm just looking for the one that would love me enough. Love me, respect me enough, and all that other stuff, me loving your family, understanding. Don't use me. But you'll find that the heart of men is better. But it's there's so many walls that are being built, and Trump wasn't the only one that's building walls. You're building walls when you do that bullshit. You're building walls, and I'm gonna be like anybody else. I'm not here to be the bad guy wearing the black hat. I have white hats too. But I'm here to say that be careful what you're doing. You know, if you're worried about future generations, you it's not me that's building the stereotype, but you are stereotyped. You know, I could probably walk down the street and interview a lot of people and ask them what do they know or think about a Filipina without knowing them. And it's not because of guys like me. It's because of the people that are over there doing that to guys like me, giving false impressions, or false hopes, only to be on bullshit. So if you're serious, give me your comments. If you could do that, I'd like to know. I don't want comments from those that are going to send me a website to go see a Filipina take off her clothes. I'm not interested in that. I know what that's all about. I'm a massage therapist, and I'm very familiar with the anatomy. Have been for a long time. And that's not what's going to do it. So anyway, myself, Texas Jake, he's got his coat on. It's getting a little bit better outside. We're going to come into our spring season pretty soon, and weather's going to be better, and it's going to be pleasant, and I hope to take some nice pictures of the sky and the evening skies, and I think I'm quite good at that. And I'd like to talk about other things besides how rotten it is in the Philippines. It looks very beautiful there. I would love to be around a bunch of women, and friendly women, and not because I want to be with more than one, but gosh, and it just looks like a nice country to visit. I want to be around good people, honest people, loving people, family-oriented people. I like to karaoke. I like a lot of things like that. I like adventures. I like to feel young. Man, you know what? When you hold a camera to your face like this and do this, and this is hard for me. I don't do this for a living, but I want people to know. I'm not on here to be Mr. Ugly. I want to be Mr. Right to somebody. And I'm a really wonderful guy to know. I really am. But most people do like me, that know me, because I have a good heart. But I think because of that, a lot of people take advantage. And I wasn't looking for that when I was looking your way towards the Philippines. And I would rather be on here talking about how wonderful it is. And I would love, in any way that I could, help change some of that. Just to educate you on how, if you really want it, and if you're really better than anything else, that any guy couldn't find a better woman or better wife than a Filipina, I want to help you to find those guys, because there's a lot of guys that would have you. But you have to be upfront. You have to be honest. You have to lay it all out. Let them see it. And I don't mean take off your clothes. All these gyrating Filipinas out there that are doing all of this, thinking that that's all a guy wants. He wants that, but that's not all he wants. He wants your respect. Be honest with him. Tell him where you're at. Tell him what it's going to take. And you'll find more heroes than zeros, I guarantee you. And I would do anything I could to prevent the bad ones to come your way. And I hope you'll work with me and keep me away from those bad ones that are doing that kind of stuff, because that's just rotten to the core. And a good guy doesn't deserve that, nor do you. But I did want to say, that's why I've been doing this, is because not only have I been educated by some of what's going on, and I don't want, you folks to think I have rose-colored glasses on, or I'm a rocket scientist, or it doesn't take one. It doesn't. But, you have to stop doing that stuff, you guys. Find another way to get to make your resources or your life better without hurting other people to do it. And don't think that just because we're Americans that we're rich and that we have all these resources, that we can just throw away money. A return on the investment is what we're looking for. And it's not just money, it's our hearts, it's our minds, it's our feelings. We're not sissy boys. We're men, strong men, looking for a good woman. And if it's better there, show me. Show me it's better. If you build it, they will come. All right. You guys take care and do right by your neighbor. Always smile and share a little part of your life, your joy, your happiness with somebody else. Make them smile too today. All right. Bye-bye from Michael and Texas Jake.